got a purty mouth. What's going on, guys? This is Sirius here, and I'm going to talk to you today about RecountCC. RecountCC is an add-on that goes along with Recount. So if you don't have Recount, you need to go download that first. I'll put a link to that in the description, along with a link to RecountCC, so you guys can download that as well. Alright, so this is an add-on I used a lot last season for Rated Battlegrounds, and I was looking for an update for it this season, and the author no longer plays World of Warcraft, and I didn't want to play World of Warcraft without this add-on, so I stepped up and I decided that I would update it for him. Alright, so what this is going to be is a quick overview of what the add-on is, how it works, how to use it properly, everything that you need to know about RecountCC. Alright, so what exactly is CC? What would you classify as crowd control? I'm going to go ahead and give you guys my definition as what I consider crowd control to be. Crowd control are abilities that have diminishing returns that are intentionally casted with the purpose of causing you to completely lose control of your character or lose control over doing damage or healing. Now this is going to include roots, stuns, disarms, disorients, fears, horrors, silences, and others. I say others because some abilities don't have diminishing returns with anything but itself. For example, Cyclone and Banish. Alright, so again, I was being questioned on whether or not some of these abilities belong in this add-on. Now, abilities that silence cause casters and healers not to do damage or healing, but they are wasted on melee classes like Warrior. Now at the same time, abilities that root classes in place cause melee classes not to do damage, but they're usually wasted if you use them on a caster or a healer. I feel like both of these abilities are important to track. However, you can't just look at the front of the add-on and know who is CCing properly. You need to click on the players' names and actually dig down and see what they're doing. This is mainly for two reasons. One, as a warlock, I could have 5 spell locks documented in the add-on. But if you click on the spell locks and find out that 4 of them were used on a warrior, then something is definitely wrong there. And two, certain classes are going to show up as having more crowd control than other classes. Mages, for example, are going to show up a lot because of Frost Nova. Now that mage could show up on the #1 spot on the add-on just because he was spamming Frost Nova. But if you click on his name, you could quickly find out that he didn't poly anyone and that he's a bad mage. Now, I would like to bring up that it is possible that I could change the way that these abilities are being tracked. I could change the add-on to track how many times a Frost Nova or a Solar Beam or a Howl of Terror or whatever was being casted instead of how many players that it actually hit. But again, this wouldn't show whether the mage doing Frost Nova was using the ability correctly. For example, if you have 2 mages, we'll call one mage 1 and the other one mage 2, and mage 1 shows up with having 10 Frost Novas and mage 2 only has 4, you're going to quickly assume, alright, well mage 1 must be better because he had more Frost Novas. But what you wouldn't see is that mage 1 only hit 10 people with his 10 Frost Novas, and mage 2 hit 40 people with his 4. And it's for this reason that I have it set to track how many times an ability landed on someone instead of how many times the ability was casted. And I think the only exception to that rule right now is Smoke Bomb. Smoke Bomb will show how many times it was used instead of how many times it hit a player. Just to tell you guys, Roots was the center of the discussion on whether or not it should be included in the add-on or not, and I feel strongly that it should be. Even though like a majority of the RBG teams right now are made up of casters, tracking Roots can be extremely valuable, especially on maps like Minecarts. Alright, so let's jump in into how to use the add-on. You download Recount, you download RecountCC. It should give you an additional tab within Recount. First thing I would do is go into settings of Recount and adjust the data properties. Under both show and record data, you want to make sure that all the boxes are checked underneath for self, grouped, ungrouped, and hostile. This will allow you to see all the players on your team and the enemy team and make sure that everything gets properly tracked, so you can compare like what your warlock did to what their warlock did. Alright, so next, you can't just paste the data into your raid chat and expect that just showed up on the screen to be useful to anyone. That information is trash. You have to remember that everything is class based, and one class could show really high consistently on those charts compared to another. What you have to do is actually click on the player's name, like I did here. I clicked on my name, and see what abilities they use. Here you can see that I used Infernal, Fears, Mortal Coil, and Spell Locks. Now if you want more details, you can click on, say, Infernal Awakening, and see that I used this on a single DK that tried to pop Army of the Dead on me. And here you can see that I cast Fear 11 times. You can click on that Fear and see exactly the names of the players that were feared and how many times they were feared. Again, this is good if you're telling someone to CC healers and instead they are using all their CCs on DPS. Here I click on the Rogue. You can see exactly how many times the Rogue used each of his crowd control abilities, who they were used on if you click on each one. You can see there's the Hunter, and then there's the Mage. And the Mage, Frost Nova'd 8 people. He got 6 people in the Deep Freeze. He's counterspelled 1 person, and he did not poly at all. Alright, so now you want to report some of the other people on your team's crowd control to everyone else. So here you can click on, I'll use me for example. You click on me, you go to report, choose who you want to send the report to, and send. And there in, I did say chat, is all of my crowd controls for that last random battleground that I was in. Now, if I want to post, like, alright, well here's my fears, and I want to show exactly who I feared, you can click on fear, and then post that to chat. And it'll say, this is Sirius's fears, these are who they were used on, and how many times. And then, just because I can, I'll do the same thing for spell locks, and I'll report those as well. And that's pretty much all there is to it. And now you guys, because you set those data options, you can track the enemy team too. I could out damage a warlock by like 10 million damage, but if I see that he has 200 fears and only feared 5 times, then you know it would give you an explanation as to why you did so much more damage than he did. Or if your team starts bitching about crowd controls, I'm always CC'd, or healers, like I constantly CC'd, I can't heal. Well, you can just go in there and look and see. Alright, well the enemy team did shit CCs compared to our team, and we had their healers locked down way more. Then something else must be going on, or there's just excuses flying around. Like, you use this information just to validate what was happening during the game and make sure that your team's on track, that the other team isn't doing better than you, and people are actually have valid excuses if they try to use crowd control as an excuse, or if they're not using it properly. Real quick before I go, just because I know you guys are going to ask, I look like a midget pirate because of an item called Bergie Blackheart's Handsome Hat. It's a blue item that drops from a rare in Shimmering Expanse. It's just a hat you put on your head, you look like a pirate, you take it off, and you no longer do, and you can switch back and forth really quick. I'll put a link to that item down in the description down below just to prevent any questions before they happen. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope this video has helped you in some way. Please leave me a comment down below if you have any questions, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.